All right. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Friday Night Prepper pre-party show. Folks, I've missed you. I'm so looking forward to catching up with everybody tonight. We're going to give people a little bit of a chance to get their notifications out, get through their ads and whatnot. And, we'll go through a couple things here while we're waiting. Hello to one of my moderators, Sassy Gal Prepping. I think you were the first one in here. Oh, I see Uncle Al was in here earlier too. If he's still here, hello to you, Uncle Al, as well. Tonight, we are going to be talking about how long do we have until SHTF, right? That is a question that I see come up again and again on the prepper forums. And I belong to numerous prepper forums and try to contribute there as much as I can. And this question comes up, especially with people who are new to prepping. There's that anxiety that kind of goes along with it. So we're going to talk about that. Definitely encouraging a lot of chat tonight from those of you who join in and let me know your thoughts on what you think the answer to that question is. Vicky Savage, good to see you. Thank you. Rebecca, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Many blessings to you as well. Lazarus Long, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope everybody had a good week. I know we had a big storm here rolling through, and I think some people are still dealing with the aftermath of that. It should be dying down, hopefully, but it's still got plenty of strength left in it. We definitely had Helene pass through here last night and early this morning. I'll kind of give you my thoughts on that and how we fared. Obviously, I'm here, so we made it. We'll talk about that in a minute. And let's go through a couple rules here real quick. So if you're brand new to the channel, we do have a couple of rules here. We do welcome some debate in chat, but please be respectful of each other. Definitely please be respectful to the moderators. They give their time freely. My moderators are not paid. And no racism, no sexism. Other than that, it's okay to have some disagreements here and just be kind to each other. That's all we ever ask here. It's all I ever ask my audience is just be kind. I don't care if you don't like what I have to say or if you disagree with me. It's perfectly fine to do that. Just be kind to each other. But if you're a huge troll and you're just disruptive, mods have full permission to send you into timeout or ban you. And if you're watching this on replay, if you leave some kind of racist or sexist comment, it's going to get deleted. So, I know we all like attention, but you're not going to get it that way because I'm just going to delete your comment anyways. So, unless it's funny, I do sometimes I do get some funny troll comments. As long as they're not racist or sexist, I do sometimes leave those up. Had a pretty funny one this week, actually, that I made a short out of. You're going to see that on Sunday, the short that I made out of that one. So, anyways, thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. Check in. There should be a poll. There should be a poll there because we are now getting, excuse me, we're now getting very close to 6,000 subscribers. So we're going to do another little giveaway here, not sponsored by YouTube or anything like that. And let's talk about this for a minute here. Anyways, so the poll is at the top of the chat. Make sure you check that. Basically, the poll question is, I'm going to be putting up my own money for this one. I don't have any sponsors on this one, and I don't. Before anybody jumps in, I don't need any sponsors on this one. This is just a little way of giving back to you guys for helping me out. When you guys use my product links, things like that, I get a little commission. If you watch the ads, I get a little bit of ad revenue from that. So helps me out. This is just one of the ways that I like to give back periodically to do some of the giveaways. So this one is from me to you. And I'm going to put up $50. It's either going to be a $150 card or hang on. Stupid camera's been acting up all day. I did presenting earlier today too for mental health training, and it was acting up earlier too. So sometimes I just got to give it the old Fonzie treatment. So the prize is going to be either a $150 Amazon gift card or $5 $10 Amazon gift cards. My moderators are going to be eligible for this. Yes, they will, because they are not paid. If I was paying them, then I would disclude them. But they are not paid, so they are going to be eligible for this. And the reason I'm doing Amazon cards here is that in the past, I've done gear and prepping gear, and specifically, and sometimes I've given away a little bit of silver and things like that too. And when I do that, because I will do that again, maybe I'll do a big one when we get to 10,000 subscribers. I will do gear again, but when I do gear, it has to stay within the continental United States because there's just a lot of weird laws out there for shipping to Europe and Canada and things like that. I run into problems and the shipping is super expensive. So when I do gear giveaways, I really can't send those outside the United States. I do have viewers outside the United States, and some of y'all were upset last time, like, well, how come we're not eligible? We helped you as well. It's a good point. So this time we're gonna do. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. This time I'm gonna do some Amazon cards. So the way it will happen, again, not sponsored by YouTube, not affiliated with YouTube. This is just me. Okay, me to you. And the way that it'll work is that as long as I pass 6,000 subscribers by, let me see the date here. I'm going to tell you right now. So this is the challenge, and I know some of you, like Lee, put out a little thing encouraging people to check out my channel. So thank you, appreciate you, Lee. As long as I pass 6,000 subscribers by December 27th, then we'll do this. And it looks like that's going to happen based on the pace of how what I normally gain, how many subscribers I normally gain in a month. So I feel pretty good, like we're going to hit this mark. And the way that it'll work is probably that Friday night. You know what? I'll just go ahead and say it this time. That Friday night, when I do the live stream, you're going to need to be on that live stream. Just be there and let me know if you want to be part of it or not. So what will happen is I'll make a list that night of everybody who wants to be, and we'll go through it that night of what you need to do to be eligible. And then probably the following night, I'll just do a real quick one, and we'll do a live wheel of names thing, and that will be the winner, and then that will be all that stream is. And you won't have to be present for the wheel of names. You won't have to be present for it. Just make sure you check it to see if you won, and there'll be instructions on how to get your card, okay, or your code or whatever. Hopefully that all makes sense. We're going to go through it again many times before we get to that point. So don't worry if you didn't get it. Just know that for now, not affiliated with YouTube. It's not a YouTube or Google or anything like that. They're not part of this. It's just me to you guys for helping me out all the times that you guys help me by using my links down below, or even just like leaving a nice comment or hitting like and watching the videos, watching the ads. It really does help me out. This is an act of this is a labor of love to do this, but it's also a business. I also do make a little bit of money off this too. And the more money that I make, the more I'm able to put back into it, either in the form of contests and giveaways, or like traveling to different locations so I can film stuff for you. Like I know I've got that trip coming up to Georgia Bushcraft in November. I certainly plan to film a little bit there for you, so you'll get some videos out of that. We did Blade Show in the spring, so I could show you all the new knives, things like that. Okay. I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for your help. So I appreciate y'all. All right. I'm going to check your comments here in just a second. I see some people are popping in. If you're just popping in right now, check that poll at the top and vote on how you want me to do this prize. Okay. And that prize is not tonight. Okay. If you're just tuning in, it's not tonight. That's going to be end of December, provided I hit 6,000 subscribers, which I think we're going to hit 6,000 subscribers. All right. Let's check chat real quick, and then we'll get into tonight's topic. Utah Mike, good to see you. Appreciate you. Yeah, we're gonna talk about. I like how you said that. We're gonna talk about it. Wayne's good to see you. Appreciate you. What you cooking there? You got something good going? Hopefully it's something good. I want to do a little. I know a lot of people do this. I want to do a little video of like cooking with your preps. I've never done that for my channel. I know many other people have. I have some ideas on that. I thought about maybe doing that tonight, but it just didn't work out. So I will do that at some point. Vicky, thank you. Yep, we're disagreement doesn't make disrespect acceptable. Absolutely. Mary McCoy, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you. Use the StreamYard giveaway tool and you can do it instantly. I will look at that, Orlando. I will look at that. If that works for me. Do you have to have I use the free version of StreamYard. I don't do the paid version of it. Do you have to have the paid version to use that? And where will I find it under? Is it under the brand tools? Because I will check that out. Oh, thank you, Diana. Well, hey, I've done many giveaways here. I enjoy doing that. I love giving stuff back to the community. Actually, we've given away several $1,000s worth of prepping gear over the course of the 4 or so years almost 5 years now that I've been doing the channel. And not all of it was paid for by me. Some of it was, but some of it was also from brands that I work with and other people that have been friendly to the show that have donated some stuff. But I look forward to doing that. Actually, it's a nice way when we hit those milestones. to give back to the community. It's a fun thing for me to do. But I want to try to do it fair. And last time I wasn't able to give to I wasn't able to make eligible my followers and audience that were outside the United States. So this time we're going to do the Amazon cards. So this question comes up, and I'm curious what the audience thinks about this of when, how much time do we have? I see this a lot in the prepper forums, and it seems like, and maybe I'm stereotyping, but it does seem like it's a lot of times it's new preppers that ask that question, as if that honestly, here's the truth to that answer. I can't tell you when you're going to need your gear, right? So we had what I would call an SHTF situation for Florida yesterday, right? So if you were in the path of this thing, and by the way, Orlando, how are you guys doing down there? I should have asked that. You guys okay? I know you got the eastern side of the storm, the dirty side of the storm, which is what we got hit with as well. I hope you didn't take too much damage. We lost a tree. The tree hit one of my fruit trees, and I haven't taken the chainsaw to it yet because I was tied up with mental health stuff today. So I just couldn't get to it. But I think my fruit tree is going to be okay. And honestly, like if that's the worst of the damage that we took, even if I lost that fruit tree, I'm grateful because it could have been so much worse. We did have tornado warnings all night long. Not my first rodeo with tornadoes. You guys know I lived in Kentucky for 10 years, got some pretty crazy storms there. But Florida got hit hard. Atlanta got hit pretty hard. This was a beast of a storm. Helene was a bad bitch. And I know that we're gonna, I didn't look at the numbers today to see like how many people died in the storm, but I know we're gonna have losses in this one. I know a lot of people took damage to their home. I read about people on friends on Facebook who were in the path of the storm that took some damage, right? So this was a bad storm. It's not going to be the last one. So SHTF really is subjective, right? So if you were in Florida and you were in the direct path of this thing last night, that was an SHTF. Now, I don't think that's what most people mean when they're asking that question. I think when people, especially on those forums, especially probably new preppers, are asking that question, I think they mean like end of the world, right? And there's a different acronym for that. And again, this is just, I'm not trying to pick on people or anything like that. But the acronym for like end of the world, like real big SHTF situation is Teowaki. So it's TEO. I'm gonna put it in chat. I'll put it in chat. Hang on. Bear with me. Okay. Teowaki in chat. That's by the way, that's my other channel there that's gonna pop up for you. That stands for the end of the world as we know it. And when people talk about SHTF in this manner, I think they mean Teowaki, right? And that's a hard question to answer. That's a hard question to answer. I can tell you some things that I'm looking for, and there are channels out there. And again, I don't call out names on this unless they're doing something super unethical, but there are channels out there who will say that they've got secret government information that the world is going to end in 90 days. And no, they don't. No, they don't. It's a great way to get clicks. They don't. All prepper channels, I can tell you this, because we all talk to each other. All prepper channels, we all have our sources of information. I have my sources, but my sources don't go like all the way up to like the White House or the Intelligence Committee and things like that. I have people that I talk to who give me fairly reliable information, but there's a limit to how much information they have access to as well, right? I don't believe that any of these channels out there have a direct line to the White House or NASA to find out when like some super comet is going to hit the planet, or or any other, like, we just don't, and if they tell you that they do, I highly question that. So I can tell you things that I'm worried about, and I'll tell you that tonight. And chat, I'll check back with you here in a second. I want to know what you think. Like, how much time do we have before like things get really, really bad? Okay. Actually right now. Maccabees, good to see you. How you doing? Oh, TJ, that's awesome. Cool. Yeah. So look for me. I'm pretty easy to spot. I mean, the bald head. But I'll be wearing my gear and stuff too. So yeah, definitely find me and say hi. Stir fry sounds good. Stir fry sounds really good, Wayne. You can do it on the free version. Okay. Delivery determines disappointment or disrespect. DDDD. Delivery determines disappointment or disrespect. I like that. Disagreement or disrespect. Disagree. Okay, I got you. Disagreement determines disappointment or disrespect. Speaking of SHTF talk, actually, I can do this so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Bacon says, speaking of SHTF talk, someone should do a show about the end times. Maybe, I don't know, they call it End Times Report. Yes, check out Bacon's stream, y'all. He goes live later on Friday nights. I'm usually going to bed right as he's about to go live. Bacon, I don't know if you see, sometimes I pop in there to say hi before I go to sleep. And then I watch it on the next day. And he's got a really fun stream. Make sure you check his stream out as well. Delivery determines disagreement of disrespect. Okay. We're good. Thanks for checking. Glad to hear that, brother. Really glad to hear that. Vicky says, SHTF isn't the only life-changing event that can happen, but it's much less likely for LCE to be beneficial. Yeah, that storm was a bad bitch, man. The end of the world as we know it. Yeah. That's right. Burpee, it's good to see you. How you doing tonight? Earworm now. According to the Mayans, the world has ended multiple times already. That's the reason why we have amnesia. Okay, so this is, I can't get too far into this tonight, but occasionally we do like the off-topic live streams here. And personally, if you guys get into quantum physics, if you read about that stuff, and you like it, it's not proven because we can't prove it at least yet. Maybe someday we can with physics experiments. But one of the theories out of quantum physics is that we have a multiverse, right? So there's like infinite amounts of me. And if that's true, this is also one of the theories with quantum physics and the multiverse is, if that's true, maybe if I die, my spirit just kind of gets absorbed into another version of me. So you wouldn't even necessarily know that version of you died, right? I think that's kind of what you're saying, Burpee Yoga Uncle. And it's very interesting. There's things like the double slit experiment that are pointing in this direction. Again, we don't have conclusive proof. It's just like there's some wacky stuff there in physics that we can't explain yet. And this is one of those possible explanations. So maybe we've died billions of times and we just kind of keep recycling. Maybe it looks like this over and over again. Maybe it looks completely different. That's the title of my playlist. Good. I've got a end times playlist as well. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. Might be surprised how high someone's sources go. Yeah, I can't prove anything, Orlando. I can't prove anything. I can tell you that some of the people who are claiming to have really high sources, I don't think they do, because they've been proven wrong over and over again. Okay. And yeah, we all have some sources, right? If you're doing this, you probably have some connections, because either you already knew them before you started doing this, or in the process of doing this, people start reaching out to you. And it's our job as content creators. We should be vetting those people. Like, yeah, I don't need to see your government ID, but you got to be able to answer some questions that I know that, like, okay, you're legit, that kind of thing. And we meet some people in the process of this. I do a lot of networking too. So you meet people, and then people start connecting you to other people and be like, hey, do you know this person? Blah, 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 blah. And so some of those connections start to happen. Again, I'm not trying to say like I don't have like super high level intel. I have people who can tell me some things that are going on in other parts of the world. And that's about the extent of it. And sometimes I can't even talk about it. Sometimes I can. And I do. And when I can, I do. Hope that makes sense. Slow burn shift into SHTF, probably. Yeah. Lowlands gets hammered by floods up in the mountains. Whoops, there we go. There's Wayne. The lowlands get hammered by floods up in the mountains. We had trees and power lines going down. Florida definitely got the worst of it. They did. Missouri Survival, it's good to see you. Appreciate you. KP Heathen, thanks for joining. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing okay tonight. Kentucky, hey, how you doing, brother? Hope you're doing okay. Daniela Joy, it's good to see you from Canada. We were just I was talking about Canada earlier, that I'm doing a giveaway, and this time my Canadian audience is going to be able to actually be eligible for this one. It's good to see you. I hope you're having a great day. What time is it there, Daniela? I'm not sure we won't. Let's see. I'm not sure that we won't face the end of civilization as we know it, but that has happened repeatedly since before recorded history. Sometimes it was called by climate catastrophe. Yeah, there's been mass extinction events over and over again throughout the course of the Earth's history. That eventually will happen. Eventually humans will be extinct, unless the only way that we're not going to be extinct is if we somehow become a multiplanetary species. Right, like we learned to colonize Mars and maybe some moons around Jupiter and Saturn, and then if humans live long enough, maybe they figure out a way to get out of the solar system. Maybe, but if we don't get off the planet Earth, eventually we will face an extinction level event, one way or the other. A comet is gonna impact the Earth, something like that, and it will be like the dinosaurs. Now, barring stuff like that, we could have a World War III, and there will still be pockets of humanity that will survive, right? Remote parts of the Amazon jungle, remote parts of Africa. There will be pockets of humanity that will survive, and perhaps they will, over time, they can rebuild to the current state of technology that we have, or beyond that, or maybe we learn our destructive. Who knows, right? Yeah, I agree with you, Vicky. Quantum physics is madness. I'm trying to use it to my advantage in this reality and live the real. Yeah, I do too. I use it. So I've talked about this a little bit. I don't want to go too far off topic here, but I use it as, to me, when I'm applying cognitive behavioral therapy on myself or with my patients. It's really important to understand mindset when we're trying to become the person that we want to become. Your thoughts are huge with this. Huge. The biggest factor, in fact, right? It's the biggest factor that determines what your future is going to be is your thoughts, right? And this is also concepts from a part of quantum physics that the theory is that our consciousness, this is another theory within quantum physics, our consciousness creates reality. And how does that work? Well, does that mean that like you're creating your own world and I'm creating my own world? Maybe, we don't know. Is it more likely in my mind, this is just personal opinion, is it more likely in my mind that if this is real, that maybe we have like a shared collective creation of that experience, right? So the best analogy I can give to this is if you've ever played a multi-user online universe, right? Like World of Warcraft or something like that. The experiences within that world are created by thousands of players and what they're doing in that world. Okay. So maybe it works something like that. I don't know. But we have some influence on it with our thoughts. Really interesting stuff. You guys are going to take me down that rabbit hole today. My sources are in low places. Hey, sometimes those street level sources have better intel than the high level sources. Let's just say that, right? Burpee, actually, the world has perished many times. Mind calendar, it's a kind of Earth traveling through the universe, coming back to the same point. Yeah, it's you're just saying a different variation. I think we're thinking along the same lines, just a different model for it. That everything is a cycle, right? The world is a wheel. Time is a wheel. These are those aren't my expressions. Those are expressions that have been used before. There's another one I'm trying to think of in Battlestar Galactica. They said all this has happened before, all of this will happen again. Yeah, very interesting stuff. I love when I meditate, I think about this stuff a lot. Bacon uses quantum physics to resupply his bourbon. I love it. Yeah, don't forget to check the poll at the top of the page. If you're getting anything of value so far, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to check in the links down below in the description for discount codes for products that I think you'll like. Yeah. So Burpee, Yoga Uncle, were you there when a couple weeks ago when we did the alien one, and we were talking about some of that stuff? Like there's stuff that from human history that might be like lost civilization stuff. I think it was Wayne that was saying that maybe this is like humans maybe or humanoids have been around longer than we think, and this stuff was created by them. And it's been wiped out for technology forgotten. Younger Dry, there we go. Yeah, Younger Dryas event 12,500 years ago wiped out most of us out, and we lost the knowledge. And there was also, I think it was the Little Ice Age where humanity was human, Homo sapien humans were reduced to like only a couple 100,000, which is a very very low number. Like humans almost went extinct at that point too. Cockroaches will probably survive longer than us. I agree with that. All right. So back to the SHTF situation before I go too far down quantum physics. Things that I'm worried about right now is obviously in 6 weeks we have this election in the United States, and I think regardless of who wins, I think we're gonna have chaos. I think we're gonna have like this scene behind me here. I think that we're gonna have mostly peaceful protests, which is a bunch of BS. It's either peaceful or it's not. And I think you're going to have, and I think it's going to be different than the protests we saw in 2020, because I think people are fed up and they're going to fight back. That you're going to have like some vigilantism, that people are going to defend their businesses, that people are going to push back on the people that want to. That's just my guess. I'm not encouraging anybody to do anything like that. I don't encourage violence. This is a very peaceful channel. You guys have been with me for a long time, know that I don't like violence at all. I don't think that's the solution to our problems. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. And I did another stream not too long ago. You guys should probably check that one out, where I was talking about where did all the protesters go. You should really watch that stream because they're coming back. They didn't just disappear. They didn't give up. They're just waiting to be funded again, and that's coming. So that's what I'm worried about in the short term. Now, is that end of the world? No. It's going to be problematic, though. What else am I worried about? Well, they just dropped the interest rates, and they're doing that because the election's coming up. At least that's personal opinion. But also, there's fear that the economy is teetering back towards recession again. Now, we could certainly make an argument that we've been in a recession for a prolonged period of time right now. Disagree with you if you said that, but things are looking like it could get worse. Unemployment is looking like we're sitting on the verge of like massive layoffs. So those of you who remember what like 2007 was like, with when we had downsizing everything, and 2000, actually that was 2001. Sorry, my bad. 2007 was the real estate crisis. Lots of layoffs, not good. So when less people are working, less money is being circulated through the economy, and that puts us in a very, very dangerous territory, right? Also, crime will rise. When people are desperate, crime will rise. Addictions will rise, right? Because people need to feel better about themselves, so they turn to self-medicating a lot of times, right? So when people have addictions, they also get desperate to fund their addictions. This is the stuff that I'm worried about 2025, right? Now, that may not happen. That may not happen because maybe if they drop the interest rates strategically, that we hit what, a so-called soft landing. We have to wait and see. Some economists are saying it's not looking good. Other economists are saying that it might be okay. I will tell you, I haven't taken my money out of the market. In fact, I'm watching it very closely. I'm about to take some profits if it keeps going up. I'm going to take some profits off the table, but it doesn't mean I'm leaving the market. I'm just going to hold it in cash reserves for emergency, or if the market drops a ton, and then I put it back in. That's how I play the game. Not saying you have to play like me. It's not financial advice, right? But that's the other thing I'm watching. What's the third big thing, and this is the biggest one out of the three for me, is World War III. I think we are dangerously close to World War III. And the United States is currently funding 2 other wars, or helping to fund 2 other wars. And don't think for a second that that Russia pissed off about this. Don't think for a second that many countries in the Middle East don't realize how much support we give to Israel, and Israel has been a fantastic ally for us, right? But there are consequences to continuing to be involved in these wars. Is all I'm saying. And the longer we stay in, and the longer those wars go on, the more likely it is that those wars are going to grow and expand, and more nations are going to get involved. And I don't know what happens if somebody like Putin gets backed into a corner. I'm a psychology expert, okay? And I can tell you that when you back somebody into the corner who doesn't care about anybody else, it's generally not good, right? You have to give them an out. You have to give them a chance to save face. These are basic concepts of negotiation and maintaining peace, right? And I learned this. One of my professors in graduate school was he was somebody who had worked with somebody who was one of the Middle East negotiators. He was trained by them, or I'm sorry, they worked together. And 2 books that I'm going to recommend for you, they're not in the description, so you'll have to go and look for them on your own. 2 books that I'm going to recommend for you is Getting to Yes and Getting Past No. All right. You have to, when you're dealing with certain people, you have to give them an out. You have to give them a chance to save face, because if you back somebody into the corner who doesn't give a flying you know what about anybody else, they will do a lot of damage on their way down, right? And Putin is in a position where he could do a lot of damage. So make no mistake, that's one of the biggest things that I'm worried about right now. The longer these wars go on, now am I saying that Ukraine should surrender? No, I'm not saying that. Obviously, they have a right to fight for their territory. I'm just saying I'm worried about how much this is escalating and how much we're involved with it, right? If you want my opinion, nobody cares what Sarge thinks. I'm not on the intelligence committee or anything like that, but I think Europe should be picking up the ball way more than the United States for the Ukraine situation, right? I'm not saying we can't help them. I'm not saying we can't be allies to Ukraine, but this is in Europe's backyard. They should be funding 90% of this if they're going to be involved. Again, that's just my opinion. You're certainly welcome to disagree with me. I'm not a politician. I'm not on the intelligence committee. I'm not military. If you're new to the channel, you might not know that. Sarge is just a nickname. Got it from college. I've talked about that many times before. So just my opinion. And my stuff is based on my experiences with human psychology, and I do work with people soldiers and veterans and things like that. So hearing their stories about what war is like and how people act in war and things like that, it's not good. Not good. We're teetering very dangerously close to something that could get very ugly. Now, let's say that it does. I see chat's rolling here a little bit. I'm gonna get back to you in 1 second. Let's say that it does. Let's say that we somehow get pulled further into this mess, and Europe gets pulled further into this mess. Let's say that China gets involved in this. Now we got World War III, essentially. It doesn't necessarily mean it goes nuclear, and I hope not. It doesn't. It could stay conventional, probably more like 5th generation warfare. If you don't know what that means, it means we're going to be seeing a lot more drones, robotics, cyber attacks, things like that. Of course, you'd have some guerrilla warfare. Could those attacks come to the United States? Absolutely. Absolutely. I live on a coastal city. I've talked about this before. I'm in a threat zone. Anywhere in California, because if China's involved, that lives close to the coast, you should be paying attention. You should be prepping. Massachusetts, New York, DC, right? Easy targets. Easy targets. You should be prepping if you live in those areas. Everybody should be prepping, right? What about the parts of the country where most of our nuclear silos are, right? So that's like Utah, Wyoming, Montana, that area. Isn't that where most of our nuclear silos are? If you live in, and you can go online and you can look at the map where most of our nuclear silos, it's actually, strangely enough, you can actually pull up that information, and those areas will be highlighted. If you live close to those areas, I would be paying attention. I would be prepping, because those will be tier 1 targets. Those will be probably the first targets attacked, even before like New York and DC and Boston, and, right? Those would be, because they would want to, anybody that is pursuing nuclear warfare would want to take us out of that game as quick as possible. And that would be a great way to take us out of the game, is a first strike on our nuclear silo sites. Now, they won't get them all, but they would get a lot of them. They would get a lot of them. And if you're in that area, the fallout in that area, just imagine if you've got these clusters of nuclear bombs all in this like 100-mile zone, and they're all getting like blown up at the same time. The fallout in that area would be catastrophic. I'm not trying to scare people, but I am too. Like, this is something you should be paying attention to. I pray for peace. I pray that all these wars get de-escalated. The longer it goes on, the worse this gets for everybody. And I think there is a solution. I think if you look at the Russia-Ukraine conflict, if you gave Putin an out and they carve out a piece of Crimea with port, he might take that, because that's a big piece of this, is that they need access to the ocean. They need a port to economically survive. So maybe there's a way for that to happen, right? Again, I'm not in a position to make these things happen. I'm just giving you my personal opinion, and you're certainly welcome to disagree with them. All right, let's check your chat here, folks. Scroll. All right, I think I found it. Cockroaches have survived. Yes, I think that's where I left off. Yeah, Stone Age is actually pretty interesting in itself, y'all. If you want to read all the different theories about what it was, I think at one point they thought it was a calendar, and then the last I read, they think it was a place where human sacrifices were being held. But if you guys know more, throw it in chat. Tech is way beyond what most think is possible. Yes, there's stuff out there yes, there's stuff out there that has never been shown to the public. And if we get into World War III, some of that will probably get used. There is, some of it has been leaked. Some of it you've probably heard rumors about, like what they're doing with lasers and holograms and things like that. I know that we've all seen images of like what they can do with robotics. That's just the stuff that they've shown us. There is probably weapons in space, even though I think there's an international treaty against that. There's probably weapons in space that can like launch from space. We know there's stuff under the ocean that can slip in really, really close to a shore. Not just us, the enemy has these things too. There is stuff that there's stealth has been rumored. Some of it you've probably heard of. If you have connections in the military, you probably have heard some of these things. Very, very interesting stuff, but it's not declassified. It's not been shown to the general public yet. If it's real, and I think it's real, really, really interesting stuff. Yes, that's true. And the Earth does go through natural warming and cooling cycles, and I guess we're in a warming cycle. We could get into I'm not going to do this, but we could get into an argument: is human activity a catalyst to that? My personal opinion is I don't even see the point of having that argument anyways, because let's say we are, and if you want my opinion, I'll say, yeah, personally, I think that humans probably have expedited this. But we're not going to change. We're not going to stop doing what we're doing, right? Like, everybody knows that. We've had these thoughts about this stuff for decades now. There was here's a funny story for you. So y'all know Sun Chips, the brand Sun Chips. So about 15 or so years ago, they came out with a biodegradable bag, and same price for the product. The only difference was that the bag broke down biodegradable really, really quick. The consumers complained that it was too loud and crinkly. So they were unwilling to make the most simple of sacrifices for something that was potentially beneficial for the planet. So if we're not willing to do that, we're not going to change the big stuff. We're just not. So, we can all get on here. I could be a climate activist or whatever and say, do this, do that. And yeah, I do your part, right? Like, recycle your aluminum and use the energy saving bulbs. And if you can stand it, turn your AC down and ride your bike sometimes to places and grow a garden and composting is great. Like that's a really healthy thing to do for the planet, right? And we could all do that stuff and it's probably still not going to make a difference. So I don't even get into that argument with people. I don't see the point. But yes, the planet does go through these natural cycles too, right? And so it was going to happen at some point, whether or not we sped it up or not. The earth breathes in and out, warm and cold, warm and cold. And this has been going on long before humans were around. Dad taught me that no one has the right to start it, but everyone has the right to finish it. Yeah, I saw that. She was a great little actress. Yeah. Yeah. Very sad. Let's see. Just scrolling. I think America's quickly becoming more like Brazil. Haves and have nots. Yeah, that's another concern too. The you will own nothing and be happy for it. And actually I feel like this is probably could lead me into a whole nother stream. I feel like the younger generation, Gen Z, has almost been like they're trying to program them that you're not going to have anything and you should just be okay with that. Well, no, that's BS. They have just as right to the American dream as everybody else. But we made housing so unaffordable and everything else, groceries, gasoline, insurance. I had a patient the other day tell me about how much it costs to insure their kids. Blew my mind. I paid for my own insurance as a teenager. I wouldn't be able to do that with what it costs now. A teenager, unless they were really lucky and had a very high paying job, probably couldn't afford to do that. I think it's gotten the world for Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which is the next one. The world has gotten so much more expensive just to get their tiny little piece of the pie. And I feel like there's the top 1% conditions them that like, this is your reality. Just accept it. You will own nothing and you will be happy. And I got a problem with that. And I hope you do too. Kids are getting a raw deal. Uh, Utah Mike says if SHTF could wait 23 months, I want to retire prior to it. I want, I'll say I need 14 years. If SHTF can hold off for 14 years, I will happily stay home on my rocking chair and watch the world destroy itself. No, I don't really want that to happen. War is profitable for people. Yes. War is especially profitable if you are a congressperson and you happen to be on these intelligence committees and other committees that have access to who's getting the next military contract, and you are immune from um, insider trading laws. War is very profitable. How do you think these legislators who make what 250,000 or something a year become multi-billionaires? Well, part of it is the insider trading and part of it is lobbyist money. All right. Um, we should all have a problem with that. Republican and Democrat. We should all have a problem with that. Coffee first, then speak. How are you doing? Appreciate you. USA has been labeled the Great Satan since 1948. Was the first head of state to recognize Israel as a nation. I don't think like that. I think that United States, like for the most part, most Americans are good people. We have sometimes some really bad leadership, but we are good people, and we need to do what we can to make this a better country and to be better partners with the rest of the world. Kumbaya. Yeah, I agree, Wayne, that there's what we're told by the media about these wars uh, is a very slanted, distorted version of the truth to bend the American will to support the wars. Okay. That's how I see it. I think you and I are kind of seeing something similar there. Right. Yep. Freedom by me, 100%. Yep. That is those. If you were going through, if you lived in Florida last night, you were in SHTF. I hope so. I hope so, Wayne. I hope that's true. Um, that's freedom by me. That's happening all over the country. I have friends in other states who are telling me similar things from all kinds of different groups. And there's I don't maybe one of you military guys can help me understand this a little bit better. I hear from sources that the theater of war that hasn't even come into play yet is going to be more parts of Africa, right? So like I know a lot of this is going on in northern Africa and northeastern parts of Africa, right? So like the edges of the Middle East, of course. But I'm hearing from my sources that the entire continent is going to be a theater of war in the next 10, 15 years. I don't completely understand what's going on there. Like, why is there rare earth minerals that we want and other countries want? Is there a lot of oil there that like can be tapped? I know there's gold and I know there's diamonds, but like, what else? Why there? Why? What's in Central and Southern Africa that the United States and China and Russia is after? If you guys know, let me know. Well, you know what? I invest in some of those countries. It's in some of those companies because I need to make money and retire someday too. And I can tell you that not so much Boeing, but Lockheed and Raytheon have been very, very profitable. Um, yep. Yeah, they can absolutely get close to our borders. Absolutely. Um, and don't forget, guys, Israel has the Iron Dome, which can knock a lot of stuff out of the sky. I don't know what we have, but I know that ours isn't as sophisticated as that. Yes, absolutely, Vicky. Yep. Some people say he was the last honest president. Don't believe it. Okay, so if somebody wants to pull those maps up, they're publicly available. Maybe Utah's not, but upper middle part of the country is what I saw. Um, so you can check that out. I agree, Wayne, and I think it's we should all be questioning where did that stuff come from. I know you and I did that stream a couple weeks ago. Certainly plausible. In my mind, it's plausible. Other people would say it's too far fetched, but talking about like crashed UFOs and stuff like that, is that where some of this stuff came from? But there's some really like spooky stuff, and from the way I've heard it described, saw this stuff in action, it looks like magic, right? Like the stealth technology that I was talking about before. That when you see this in action and these things that supposedly exist, that it looks like magic. We'll see. We'll see. I don't believe at this point. I don't believe polls. We'll see what happens. It's gonna. I will tell you this. It's gonna come down to like five or so states. Swing states. My state, South Carolina, will go red. California will go blue. Right, and there's like those are locks. Those electoral votes are locked. There's nothing that's going to change that. But there's like five or so states where it's going to be close. And those 5 or so states will decide this election. Why is your roof painted blue, Bacon? Is there a reason for that? When you meet, everything was on paper. Yeah. So, yeah, if they ever decided to do everything by hand count again, we won't know who the president the president elect is, for a long time. We have what, 340 or so million people now. Yeah, frequency technology. I'll be honest with you, when Israel did that thing with the beepers, that was my thought. And maybe other people thought that too. Like, wow, they've got some kind of frequency weapon that targeted these pagers. Turns out that's not what it was. Somehow they got a hold of the supply chain, and they had these like micro explosives planted in these beepers and phones and walkie talkies like well in advance. But that was my original thought, was like that. Wow, Israel's got some kind of frequency weapon. And you guys know, I did a live stream a long time ago about Havana syndrome, and like there's something weird there that's probably, in my opinion, it's a weapon. And we're not even talking about like the biological weapons that are probably out there. You know, um, I'm of the belief that a certain virus that came through a couple of years ago was a biological weapon that was being developed that got leaked out of the labs, intentionally or not. I don't know. That's my personal belief. Again, you're welcome to disagree with me. Climate change is normal. Yeah, it's part of our cycle. I don't disagree with that. So yeah, sooner or later, the Earth will take care. So the Earth is a self-sustaining system. Sooner or later, if there's a problem within the system, it's going to do what it where the problem. Sooner or later, it's going to do what it has to do to fix the problem. Systems theory. I did a whole video on that a while back. Just catching up, catching up. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, so I apologize if I missed somebody's comment here. Um, I just, so I can kind of catch us up. Virginia Bushcrafter, if I didn't say hi to you earlier, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Gus Wolf, good to see you. How you been? Don't forget, folks, poll at the top. Check out that poll, please. Yeah, so natural resources in Africa. What yes, but what? Like everything, oil, gold, rare earth minerals. What is it that these superpowers that they all want? What do they have? Yeah, that sounds about right, Bacon. First, let's shower you with love before we take everything from you. It's the American way. um, sleeper cells. Freedom, is that what you're talking about? Sleeper cells probably are already here. If you guys don't know what sleeper cells are, you should look that up. All right, I think I'm almost caught up here. Yeah, and I believe that, like, we always talk about like the F-22 Raptor is our most advanced plane. Oh, no. I'm pretty sure we've got stuff that they haven't shown us more advanced than that, and it's unmanned. Or shall I say it's AI? It's a I believe that we have AI jets that are available for use if we need them, that they haven't been revealed and the switch hasn't been flipped, hasn't been turned on. Just my personal beliefs. All right. I am pretty much caught up there. Again, if I apologize if I missed anybody's comments there. Good conversations there. Y'all did awesome. Really appreciate it. Let me start to wind this one down. So I want to say this to go back to the original topic. If you're new to prepping, please don't think of it like that you're preparing for one single event. I don't believe that you. I think you need to think of it as a lifestyle, right? So most of us who do this kind of content creation, if you ask us, we'll tell you we grew up with this. We just didn't call it prepping, right? I learned how to garden. I learned some survival skills from my dad. Um, you know, learned some stuff from Boy Scouts, right? And just kind of always grew up with it. And we didn't call it prepping. That term kind of, in my opinion, came around from that Doomsday Preppers show. I never had even heard that before. Maybe I would have used the term survivalist, which now has kind of a different connotation to it. But more likely, my family would have just said, you have to, they would have said, prepare. You need to think ahead, that times are not always going to be good. You need to have savings and food set back, and you need to know how to like grow your own food and things like that. So that's just a lifestyle. And those most of us who do content creation and show you how to do this stuff, it's always been our lifestyle. We're not preparing for a certain event like a recession or a war or a catastrophic storm. Like that whole concept came about from that show, which I think did good and bad. It introduced a lot of people to preparedness, but it also created some of these false cognitive stuck points where people think, I have to prepare for a flood or a virus or whatever, or EMP. That's a popular one, right? And the thing is, you really don't. You don't have to pick a certain event, and you don't have to predict when you're going to need all your stuff. Just make it part of your lifestyle. Don't become so obsessed with it that like I have to have this within 2 months because this channel said that the world is going to end in 2 months, right? Because I think you're going to make yourself anxious and you're going to blow your budget, and then if nothing happens in 2 months, then you're going to feel like I was bamboozled. So stay within your when preparing, always stay within your budget. Remember, skills are more important than gear, even though I talk about gear a lot on this channel and I like nice gear. But when I started out kind of putting my stuff together, my first bug out bag and my first few knives and flashlights, I wasn't buying expensive stuff. I bought what I could afford. And then little by little, I upgraded over time. I've been doing this a long time. So when I show you, like, this is why I haven't done a video about my bug out bag in a while, because like that in itself is kind of a silly concept. We'll get into that another day, but it's a fun project to do. How do I say this? Your skills and your mindset are way more important than all of that. Is it good to have some of this stuff? Yeah. Will it help you if you need it? Absolutely. But don't get so stressed about acquiring stuff that you're driving yourself to this point of anxiety. It's a journey, it's a lifestyle, it's not an event. Okay. So try to think about that with your mindset. And I think it will help you if you're asking this question of how long do we have till SHTF? I can tell you events that I'm worried about, and other channels will tell you about. Maybe none of this is that big of a deal. Maybe we won't have riots after the election. Maybe we won't. Maybe we won't have an escalating war. Maybe things will settle down in the springtime. Maybe the economy will pick up, right? I don't know. Just giving you my thoughts. But if you have a preparedness mindset, then I'm not disappointed when none of those things happen. I have my skills and my gear and my tools for if the next emergency happens, which might be something that we're not even thinking about, right? Maybe there's some crazy super virus that everybody's getting sick, or maybe there's a giant earthquake in my area that, and I can use my first aid supplies to help people and my training to help people, right? Like you can't think of it, or I encourage you not to think about it in terms of I have to prepare for a single event and when is this going to happen? I think you're just setting yourself up for a lot of frustration, anxiety, mental anguish, financial anguish, and in the end, when those things don't happen, you're going to feel like you got bamboozled. Okay. So I hope that's helpful for you. Let me check chat one more time. This is your last chance to go vote in the poll, because I'm about to go check the poll as well. And then we're going to wrap this one up. Cold Hearted Bastard, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. If I didn't see you before, Bob942, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. If I didn't catch somebody and you said hi, I apologize. I do my best to say hi to everybody. Yeah. And so I was talking to somebody else about this today. One of my brands that I work with, we had a video chat, and he was saying, I noticed that you try to keep. I don't want to say who it was because it was a private conversation, but he said, I noticed you try to keep it level and down to earth. I said, I do, but you also have to understand that people who are looking for this stuff, they're going to be drawn to images like this. So I have to use some of that to pull people in so we can have a discussion like I did tonight. Right. And so like people might see this and be like, oh, Sarge is one of those crazy prepper kooks. Well, if you think that, I don't care. I've moved beyond that a long time ago. But I do also try to encourage sensible preparedness, right? To steal a term from Such, sensible preparedness of like, if you do this every day as part of your lifestyle, you're going to be prepared for storms and recession and loss of job and illness. And you're also going to be getting ready for bigger things that could happen. War is a racket, Vicky. War is a racket. That's a downloadable PDF. Thank you. There you go, Freedom. I like that. The correct answer, if anyone asks you, what are you prepping for? The answer is yes, I am prepping. uh, Coffee first is what's a prepper? Cool. Okay, a little gear advice there from Wayne. Solar flares. Yeah, solar. So I don't worry too much about solar flares. We've had a bunch of them. And I see those a lot of times on the prepper forum where people will get really nervous about those and be like, warning, solar flare is imminent in 3 hours or whatever. And yeah, they're real. Um, could it cause like a Carrington effect thing? Yeah. We've been through a lot of them and it does sometimes cause some problems. I'm not personally, and it's okay. Maybe I'm just making bad decisions here. I'm not personally too worried about solar flares. A giant solar flare could wipe out the entire planet if it's big enough. Sure. It's not something that I worry about. And really, I don't know if would be any way for me to prep for that anyways. I'm not going to live underground. I've said that before. I don't want a bunker. I don't want to live underground. I'd rather, if there was a nuclear war or something like that, or comet, I would personally choose to be part of the initial billions that are taken out. I wouldn't want to be me personally, and I'm not giving anybody advice on this. You do what makes sense for your family. I wouldn't want to live in the aftermath of that. When you see like a movie like The Book of Eli or The Road, right, where it's like so apocalyptic, dystopian. I don't know that that's really even a world that I would want to live in. Not that I would self harm. I don't believe in that. My personal religious beliefs would prohibit me from doing that anyways. But I wouldn't. I would kind of prefer to go with the initial blast if there was like a full on nuclear war. Lee Cold War Prepper has done a whole series on that. If it's not a full like global nuclear war, you have a high chance of surviving. He's actually got a whole collection of videos about this, right? Like, so it's possible that one or two or 5 or 10 nukes get launched. That will not end the world. That will not like wipe out even most of civilization. It will do localized damage and a lot of radiation fallout. But that's not what we're talking about. When I say like full on nuclear war, I mean like everybody's launching every warhead they got. I don't want to live through that. Yeah, comets, solar flares. I mean, earthquakes, super volcano, right? At some point, super volcanoes are going to go off again, and that's going to be catastrophic. That's what I think. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong, guys. All right. I think I'm mostly caught up. Let me check that poll here, guys. Big Valley Living, how you doing? Appreciate you. Thanks for popping in. All right, let me go back up to the poll here. Let's see what y'all said. Because this is it. This is the only time I'm voting on this. Where did I put it? Where's my poll? Oh man. Can I not see it now? Hang on. Bear with me here. Get rid of that. There we go. There's my poll. Okay. All right. So you voted 58% to 42%. When I do the giveaway, after we pass 6,000 subscribers, we're gonna give away one prize, and it's gonna be a $50 Amazon gift card. So thank you everybody voting in that. Interesting. I didn't know what to expect there, but it was a little bit closer than I thought. I usually, like, when I do these polls, it's kind of a landslide one way or the other. So that's it. It's decided. I feel very confident that we're going to get to 6,000 subscribers by that December date that I gave you. So stay tuned. There'll be more information coming about this. If you missed the rules, don't worry. I'm going to go over all that long before it even happens. Okay, so plenty of time to do that. Mike wants a recount, and that, by the way, like, that's not going to be my last giveaway, y'all. Like, I like doing these. It's not going to be my last giveaway. So don't worry. All right, let me end. I always like to end with something positive. And remember also, most of the people here tonight that are active in chatting are also prepping channels. Some of them are other types of content creators. Check them out. There's all good content creators here. Good people, great community. Make sure you're checking them out. Remember, Bacon's going live later on tonight, so go check out his live stream. Have fun. A lot of times he opens it up to guests and stuff like that. So maybe if you you come a couple times and you get to know him, he'll have you on his live stream as well. So enjoy yourselves. Last little thing, positive message for tonight. And I'm just going to say this, and I want you to think about it. I'm not going to spell it out for you. I want you to think about this. I've been putting out a lot of some new videos on the mental health channel. My mental health channel is, I'll put it in chat again so you guys. That's me. That last comment there. The official Mental Health Matters channel is my mental health channel. So I've been putting out some new content there. Check that out when you can. But my comment for tonight for you to meditate on is that each of us is struggling with things that we're trying to change about ourselves, right? Maybe you think negatively about yourself, you eat too much chocolate cake. Maybe you've got a drug problem. Maybe you've got a pornography addiction or gambling addiction, or you're mean to your dog, or you're mean to your wife. And I know that part of you is like, I don't want to do that anymore. This stuff comes from deep hurts inside of us, right? And triggers and things like that from our past. But remember, your past doesn't own you anymore. Every day that you wake up, you get to decide the kind of person that you want to be. And every day is an opportunity to move closer to that. And yes, you'll stumble along the way. We all do. That's part of the process. So when you stumble, don't beat yourself up. You say, all right, I screwed up. We move on, right? You don't need to be afraid of your demons. Your demons should be afraid of you. That's your message for tonight. Folks, I love you very much. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Always look forward to talking to you on Friday nights. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Keep planting your seeds. Keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge. Night, everybody.